So, this coconut just gained consciousness and is living on a simple island, enjoying his simple life. In this video, I will introduce you to the world I created when I was like 11 years old. For a measurement, currently I'm 18, so yeah. This is a 2D platformer metroidvania game called Coconut's Adventure, because he is a coconut and will be adventuring. This game has been in development for only a month, meaning that the movement is very basic, but I think it's well done. All Metroidvania elements are missing, which I will be working on in the next devlog. However, I managed to mostly finish the so-called tutorial location with only some minor details missing. And I've also figured out the art style and generally the workflow for creating these levels and locations. In this game, I will be focusing on storytelling via dialogues, exploration, and my favorite, environmental storytelling. That means the environments, such as this island, can't be just randomly put together. Without all the visuals that are not necessary for the gameplay, only a blank screen is left behind. Only platforms and objects with collision have reason to exist, and that's boring. So, let's go through all the visuals, making it less boring to look at. First off, to make the scene look like an island, some island background would be in order. However, making a good background is not as easy as it looks. I had to precisely measure the platform so that the individual background pieces would fit. That requires a lot of adjustments after adjustments until I get something that works. This results in an image that is completely flat and therefore looks really out of place. To add in that 3D effect, so it has some depth, I had to code parallax effect, which basically means that the further an object is, the less it moves. The island is not the greatest example of how amazing the parallax effect can truly be, because there is only sand, some water and sky, and you can't really add depth to that. Next, this scene needs some lighting and just more vibrant colors and contrast between them. To make that happen, I have magically created a scorching ball of fire called sun, and added a couple of clouds along that cast shadows by blocking the sun. To top it all off, I sprinkle in some post-processing so that the colors glow more and add in a vignette to increase depth and complement the light, the sunshine. With the core visuals done, it is time to add in that detail by making palm trees, grass patches, this camp and campfire, and vegetating the waters with seaweed and kelp. However, all of this greenery feels very dead, being just rigid, not moving, so to improve that I have created a wind system. A really cool wind system where I can set the wind's direction, strength and separate the objects affected by the wind into layers, which in this case are normal layer and water layer. It needs to be separated because the seaweed and kelp are affected by the water's waves, so they behave differently from the trees and grass affected by the wind. I can also smoothly transition between different winds, so I can go from it's okay to damn, it's windy outside. One feature that cost me a lot of work was making the water interactable, but it was definitely worth it, especially combined with the coconut's ability to swim. That means there will be some underwater platforming in future, which is great because it adds variety to the obstacles you will encounter while adventuring. To make the coconut's movement feel like he is actually walking on solid ground, I created footstep particles, which are these little dust particles that appear under coconut while he is moving. I made them adapt based on what terrain you are currently in, so when you are on sand, the dust particle plays. When you are on grass, the grass particle plays, and the same for water. It's a very small detail that makes a huge difference in my opinion. From the darkness rose the green circle. Even the abyss could not scare it, for it had no fear. It lusted for more, so it faced the abyss and absorbed it. Empowered by its victory, the coconut was born. Afterwards, I was just testing out ideas, seeing what works. As you can see, I failed miserably on my first attempt, so I have scraped it all and started this time by making the coconut and platforms to have exact measurements. The coconut is exactly 1 unit in size, allowing me to create levels so much more easily than this chaos. Then the process of making stuff until it looked decent began. When I finished the bare bones structure of this location, I started experimenting with water. With the underwater section done, I added life by making daytime and sunrise time. In the end, I made the amazing realization that since this is an island, it would make sense for the water to be in front of the platforms as well, creating foreground. For now, Coconut has no enemies, but the way I see combat being handled will be similar to a game I love, Ori and the Blind Forest, where often instead of fighting, you are running for your life or doing platforming, through which you fight back, so the combat will be basically do 10 backflips and this crab gets a heart attack and dies. Sort of. Following that, you can also fight by jumping on top of enemies, brutally crushing their skulls. But I think about it, coconut can be quite dangerous.
The coconut nut is a giant nut.
That's all for the introduction to the Coconut's adventure, so subscribe to follow the development and bye bye.